Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 82 KHiphop podcast where we cover KHiphop news, releases, drama, and more. Nuna, would you like to introduce our
Yes.
guest today?
So today we have a special guest with us. He's a YouTuber who covers both K-hip-hop and K-pop and has over 70,000 subscribers as well as over 1,000 videos. Throughout his 10-year run on YouTube, his videos have amassed over 31 million views. Please welcome KarKpop, aka Matt. Yay!
Yay.
Hi. I'll cheer for
Yeah.
myself. Thanks for having me. Happy to be
Yeah,
here.
thank you for joining. Great stuff. Um,
My pleasure.
as we were going to say, today we're going to be discussing the difference between K-pop and K-hip-hop, the crossover from East to West, fans of K-pop versus K-hip-hop, and so on. And we don't really want to fall into the trap of pitting K-hip-hop and K-pop against each other, which a lot of times fans of both genres, especially like newer fans, tend to do. So I guess we were planning on starting out from talking about the history. We're talking about like different topics like authenticity, like fan bases, and just going into that stuff. So yeah, that's the plan.
So
Yeah.
we can actually start off like talking about yourself, Matt. Like,
Oh,
how did
awesome.
you kind of get into K-pop or K-hip-hop? We could just start with both.
Well, while I'm flattered that you guys have said 10 years, surprisingly, I've only been really doing it for 6, even though my channel's existed for 10. So it's like, I mean, just numbers. Just because like I got into K-pop in like 2014, so like after I made my channel. But yeah, slowly fell into that. Only liked girl groups for a year because I'm a dude. That's weird to like boy groups. And then watched GOT7's A from like 2015, and I'm like, you know what, boy groups aren't too bad. Got into boy groups, and then it was just like a slow thing. And funny enough, I got into K-pop because it was recommended on a Slipknot video, which is a metal band, if you know.
Yeah, I know. Slipknot.
I was watching their new music video.
Yes, we know.
Who got
So yeah,
recommended
and
to you
then
first?
got into K-pop.
Who got recommended to you first?
Who
Or like what was the first?
what video was?
Yeah, or what was like the first K-pop video you watched, if you remember?
The one that got me into K-pop was Girls' Day Darling.
Interesting.
So, yeah. And then basically my channel started because I liked K-pop for like 2 years. And my friends were still like, oh, you like K-pop? What's wrong with you? Type of thing. But yeah, we would always hang out and we would just like eat and do nothing except talk and like just like chill at Taco Bell or something. And so we're like, yo, let's be productive when we are like hanging out. So we wanted to like start a YouTube channel, and we tried a few things. We tried to podcast ourselves, like about random stuff. We tried like thinking about different ideas, and I was just like, yo, let's react to K-pop. That's kind of popping right now. Like I know K-pop, like, and they were down for it. So I just ended up showing my friends K-pop in the car, which is why it's called CarKpop, and creative title. And
Revolutionary.
exactly. And we went from there, and we basically the entire content on the channel was just K-pop reactions for a few years and getting my few friends to get into K-pop, which they never really did, even though they knew everything about it. And about like maybe about 3 to 4 years ago, maybe closer to 3, just me being a fan of Korean music and Korean pop and everything, slowly started to explore the lesser known genres of K-pop, like K-hip-hop and the R&B side and stuff like that. And that basically had me dive into all the cool stuff that's not just like the stereotypical dancing K-pop and everything. So after that, I kind of turned my channel away from just sitting in a car reacting to stuff without much content, so like more rap related stuff, whether it's K-pop rap or hip-hop. And yeah, that's the very abbreviated story of it.
What are your favorite like artists in both K-pop and K-hip-hop these days?
Okay, so I could divide that into 2 questions. Like the overall, all time, like favorite artist is different. But so these days, K-pop wise would be like Stray Kids,
Oh yeah.
Dreamcatcher. P1 Harmony is a rookie that I'm really enjoying, and I'm kind of excited for their new comeback. And maybe like Oh My Girl for like the more poppy type of girl group. And then, of course, always like, I guess maybe like Monsta X as well.
ATs?
Even though they're kind of fallen away from them lately, but
I feel like you would like ATs.
ITZY?
ATs. ATs?
ATs.
Yeah. ATs.
Surprisingly, I'm just like kind of iffy
Oh really?
on them. I like a few of their songs, but I'm not like head over heels for them like a lot of fans are. Like especially like that Stray Kids type of
Yeah,
fan.
I
Like
feel like a lot of
Stray
Stray
Kids
Kids
fans are
fans,
also ATs fans.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and since you said
weirdly enough,
Dreamcatcher too,
yeah.
like I feel like the mix between like Dreamcatcher and like Stray Kids, like if you like those two, you usually like ATs.
I don't know what it is. They just have this really unique sound that I haven't caught on to
Yeah.
yet. I can't explain it, but I don't dislike them. It's just like I'm not like a full out like I love ATs.
Yeah.
I know all the members. Like I know Mingy and Hongjoong, of course. But,
Yeah, same. And San.
but
You know San,
yeah, so
right? Everyone has to know San.
San, and then the high note guys Junho.
Oh, Jungho, yeah. Why do I know so much
I was
about
close. I was
this?
close. I don't know. Secret Atini.
A bit actually. Actually, I saw them perform, so I guess actually, yeah.
Oh,
Oops, I guess I exposed myself. Yep, I am. I mean, I think we have a similar
there you
like
go.
K-pop taste in K-pop. I mean, I don't play
This seems like it.
it
Yeah.
as much, but yeah, my mom also doesn't like ATs, but she likes Stray Kids. I guess that's a thing. Like sometimes.
Well, there you go.
I guess there's like a group of people. I don't know. Anyway, that's that.
Yeah.
What about like
K-pop, yeah.
K-hip-hop? What was like the first like video or something like that that was recommended to you?
First video of K-hip
Or
hop.
like first artist maybe?
Yeah,
I-
first artist or
Since I've been into K-pop, it's like I guess I slowly just kind of seen more and more of it. So I guess the first ever one, I wasn't into K-hip-hop, but the first artist from K-hip-hop I listened to was Basic.
Oh.
Because on Show Me the Money 4, he collabed with Mamamoo. And I knew Mamamoo. And I'm like, oh, who's this? And then I'm like, oh, this song is awesome. He's a great rapper too. So then I was always like, yo, I love Basic. And he was like the only K-hip-hop rapper I knew.
Oh, I was expecting
So
Jay Park.
he
Yeah, I feel like most people.
I mean, I knew Jay Park, but Jay Park was always like a K R&B.
Yeah.
Like he, like you know, like when I thought of Jay Park, it was always like mame
Oh, yeah,
type
yeah,
of
yeah.
vibe, like the very
yeah.
that type of stuff. So I wasn't too into that. Like I always kind of like brushed off Jay Park, but his recent stuff's really good though. But that's off the point. But my favorite like current like K-hip hop, I would say then is like. Just like not K-pop artists, I would say then. Gist from High School Rapper 3, I think he was on. I absolutely adore his music. He was like rapping on High School Rapper 3, but now he's like all like sad boy R&B type vibes, which is weird. But I don't know, I love it. I'm like addicted to his stuff from 2020. And then this underground type artist named J Clef, and then this girl named
J-Clef.
Cherry Coke.
Oh, Cherry Coke, yeah.
Oh, Cherry Coke.
Her aesthetic is
Yeah.
just like top notch.
R&B.
And then
That's the first person I've heard mention J Clef ever.
really? Yeah, she's so
Yeah.
underrated. I love her. Like it's her songwriting. It's just so good to me. Like it's such unique songwriting. Like just stuff you don't really expect or hear much. Like especially in like the popular type of music, but yet it's still technically pop music. So yeah, I love her music too. I wish she would release more because she
I
hasn't
think
released anything since 2018. But
Yeah. She won like the Rookie of the Year award or something at some award show. I forget.
really, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I was surprised too because I was like, wow, nobody really knows J Clef that well, but she managed to release one album and then win that award.
That's impressive because I don't know. She's great. I wish she would release like a new album sometime soon because I've heard nothing from her since then. But I don't know, her music's addicting to me. On top of that, but like I guess before I eat up too much time because I just keep talking, the stereotypical K-hip hop rappers I would like, Justice of course, Punchnello, who's a Lay One who I kind of just found out through Show Me the Money 9. His recent song I've been addicted to that the past like 2 weeks or week, however long it's been out. And who else is there? I don't know. There's a whole bunch. Jackie Y, of course. Still nothing.
Have you checked out Marani?
Oh, Mirani. Yeah, she just dropped a new single, like double single kind of,
Daisy?
the other day with
Groovy.
one with PH. The music video was with PH1,
yeah.
I think, and then a B side with Justice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Yeah, Mirani's definitely on my radar from Show Me the Money 9 too. Show Me the Money 9 as well. But yeah, I know the majority, I guess, of K-pop rappers. But that's, I guess, the Indigo, like the 2018 Indigo crew was kind of like the first, like, when I kind of fully committed into K-hip-hop. Like, I'm going to explore this full genre instead of listening to artists here and there, like I did with Basic.
Indigo Gang.
Interesting.
Yeah, like the Kid Millie, Noel, Swings, Justice,
Yeah.
Jackie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Young B. So that's kind of my history of K-hip hop and K-pop.
I was definitely expecting Justice because of your fast rap series. I think he has the vibe, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he is. I mean, at least for me, top notch. Like one of my favorites. And then he kind of blew up, and I'm like he blew up like the past like second half of 2020 when he did that whole Dingo Killing Verse. That's a series, right? Yeah, he did Killing Verse, and I don't know why, but like suddenly like he just like exploded from, I don't know if it was that or like a few months before that, but he exploded. I'm just sitting here like I liked him when Gone came out, but I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
Because now it's Gone Verse. He's like I don't know, the super fast part that got me addicted to him in Gone is like I better flow the 99% of rappers, and like basically like, oh, why am I still like doing that? And now I look back at that, I'm like, ha, you got it now, because you're like one of the top name K-hip hop rappers at the scene right now. So I don't know, I feel good for him.
So I guess like going back, like getting into the chunk of, or the meat of the actual like episode today, like starting to go back, I guess we can go back in time and see how K-pop and K-hip-hop kind of started together, I guess you could say, and then kind of branched off into their own different like their own separate genres.
I mean, at the start, a lot of times, a lot of people would cite like Soteji and Boys as like one of the first like K-pop boy groups, but also like one of the first people who like brought rap or sort of like the hip hop style into like Korean mainstream media, and they like pioneered the rap and singing style that's still used to this day in K-pop, which is interesting because it's like both genres sort of have like a similar start, but then from then on they sort of went in, I guess, two different directions. I mean, like the start, or like the founding father, I guess, of K-hip-hop would be like Tiger JK, Drunken Tiger, like Yoon Mirai. And they like brought in like the American influence to K-hip-hop, since Mirai was born in US and Tiger JK lived there as a teenager and in college.
Also, Verbal Gent too.
And they brought
is
that, like,
one.
I guess.
Because I read that
Verbal
he
Gent,
had actually brought,
Yeah.
like, he's the one that adopted the rhyme scheme that a lot of Korean rappers still use today. So I think that's important to note.
Yeah, that's true.
So, cool.
Apparently, before his album released, a lot of rappers were just rapping really fast in Korean and not actually rhyming, like actual rhyme schemes.
Really?
So he was kind of the one who brought in that, I guess, rhyme scheme similar to American or Western hip hop.
Do you know when Verbal Gent started? Like, uh, like I
2001 was his first album.
okay, yeah. Because I mean, I know like a lot of like who the like I guess legends
Mm-hmm.
of K-hip-hop, like the founders, of course. Like, but I'm not exactly sure like who came about when. It's like I can name like a bunch of people, but I'm never sure like who were like
Yeah.
other than Tiger JK, of course, and like everything. Like who exactly came like after that, and like the following steps, I guess.
I think Tiger JK and Verbal
Yeah, I
Jint
think
were
so.
probably around the same time. And I know Dynamic Duo released their album like 2003. Epic High as well, 2003,
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
you got all these states
But
just
I remember
down.
like like Epic High or Tableau mentioned like about their first album because apparently their first album did horribly. And he basically said like Korea was not ready
Yeah.
for K-hip-hop at that time. They were just fixated on K-pop and like K-hip-hop
I
was
see
just,
that.
you know, kind of
Yeah.
a weird child.
I mean, even then, like just normal hip hop in the U.S. like was still kind of new. I mean, new relative of like it was only like what a decade old, maybe a decade and a half. The
Yeah.
true like what we know as hip hop in America. So early 2000s Korea, it's like, what it,
Yeah.
10
I
years
mean, it's like a
behind, I
decade
Yeah.
feel like, a
behind, I
bit.
guess. Because, like, I guess you would say that, like, in America, hip hop became sort of like the new pop in a way around like 2010s to like 2015. It started like catching up or like overcoming, you know, pop music. Because now, like, rap is bigger than what you would think of as like pop, even though it's supposed to be like the most popular music. I mean, rap tends to chart better,
Mm-hmm.
it tends to, I guess, be covered more um, than, say, like, I don't know, just pop music in general, you know?
this is kind of off topic, but would you say there's like a difference between pop rap in America versus like traditional actual hip hop rap? Like, there's like a difference between the artists who perform that, like someone
Like
like
Post
Cardi
Malone?
B
Yeah.
as more of like a just like rapping like with a popular sound, whereas like you have like a lot more like under the radar rapper. Not like they're famous in their own right and like as a hip hop artist, but like someone like Tech Nine, for example, it's like I've never heard him on like the like on American radio station. Like, oh, here's the new drop from Tech Nine. But it's like if you ask anyone who genuinely loves hip hop in America, like they'll be like, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
for
Tech Nine's
sure.
a legend. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think
but
that's
then
true
What
for
was the
like
initial
most
question though?
most genres though, in a way. Like there was at the surface level, whenever any genre becomes big, you know, like when rock was really big, like there was people who like everyone would hear on the radio, like I don't know, like Nirvana or AC/DC, I guess. Those are sort of like two different, or like Beatles, like
But
everyone
you
knew those, but then there's like people who are more important, or not more important, but are equally important, like to, you know, like the history of rock music, and the rock genre in general, but you wouldn't hear as much of, I guess. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just part of music and part of genres. It's like when you have something becoming sort of mainstream, there's that stuff you do hear of, like everyone hears of just because the genre becomes larger, and then there's like the stuff that the people who actually care about that genre, instead of just like whatever's playing on the radio, listen to. Maybe. I don't know.
yeah. Like I don't know. It's kind of a good like I don't mean to segue for you guys, but it's kind of a good segue of like is that kind of the similar thing of like K-pop rap, like you know rapping in K-pop versus actual K-hip hop rappers and like their type of style where it's like the K-pop rappers are doing the pop rap like what I just said would be for America, and then you have like the more you have to be into
Mm-hmm.
K-hip hop to know these names rappers. I do that
I feel
Yeah.
like the subject matter is different for sure.
definitely.
Yeah. I guess that applies for like Western and Korean. It's like I mean maybe rap like K-pop rappers are talking about you know like maybe struggles or love or stuff like that, but I guess it becomes more raw when it's said by a person or like an artist in the actual K-hip hop
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
because they're like two different worlds, right?
And I also think hip hop
Basically.
rappers don't have to censor themselves as
Yeah.
much as a K-pop song
Yeah,
would.
yeah.
So I rambled on quite a bit longer than I really should have in this part, so I'm just going to articulate it a bit better here. Pretty much, I am trying to offer, I guess, a different way of looking at it, and that way, I guess, is sort of, I guess, the musicality of it, or, you know, a stylistic perspective, and I guess in that perspective, if you look at it like that, there are a lot of ways which, I had said, there are a lot of ways which, Korean hip hop is closer to, or offers sort of music which is closer to American pop rap, compared to, you know, like K-pop rap. Because I think K-pop rap is something sort of entirely different that you don't really see in the West, simply because I guess what it's trying to really do, the function it's performing, is something which you don't really see a need for in the West because you don't have rappers in sort of groups. You don't really have that type of group dynamic, where they're like multiple singers and rappers who always work together, on one song. I guess the closest thing you would see is when you have a, I guess, pop rap, pop rap rapper on like a collaboration with, you know, pop singers. But it's something sort of different because I was saying, you know, stylistically speaking, the type of music you hear in pop rap, let's say, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci. I was into Lil Pump for some reason in high school. But anyway, you're not gonna see that in, you know, K-pop rap, but you would see that, in Korean hip hop, because I guess the motives and like sort of the styles which they're trying are different, and in Korean hip hop, I guess there's, and pop rap, there's more of a, I guess, like need or an urge to sort of try different things, and sort of break the mold of pop rap of that genre which they're working in. Whereas with K-pop rap, there's less of an emphasis on like changing up the rap itself, because the rap isn't the focus. The rap itself doesn't have to carry the whole song. So I guess what they're doing, is just different. So it's a bit hard to, in a stylistic way, compare pop rap in America to K-pop rap in Korea.
Yeah, like
I feel like it goes back to saying how one has more restrictions than the other.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, that is true. Like, I think while there are restrictions on, like, mainstream American rap, or, like, pop rap as we called it, I guess, like, it's sort of, like, a different extent. I mean, I guess maybe it's more about, like, style, you know? Because I was thinking of, I was thinking, like, one thing in, like, the West would be, like Gucci Gang or something, you know, like Lil Pump. I used to be sort of a fan of Lil Pump, don't ask why. But, like, you wouldn't see, like, that's, like, pop rappy type stuff. But that's not the type of pop rap you would see in, like, idol groups. Like, that's something you would see from, like,
No.
ask wanna live for real.
yeah,
Ooh, yeah. Actually, I'd say different parameters, because in idol music there's certain topic matters that you're not allowed to discuss, or certain topics matters you're more often compelled to by your company or expected to discuss. And in American pop rap, there are also topics which you're expected to discuss. Also, interestingly enough, I think that's even more true with female artists, rappers. Like most American pop rap female artists tend to discuss a certain sort of like topic matter. Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, Nicki Minaj. There's sort of like a something which, you know, gets artists popular. And over in Korea, you see that groups like ITZY, what's the one which did La Di Da, Everglow, they all have this like, ooh,
empowerment, we're strong and independent and cool, whoa, type. I don't know, that's not a good way of explaining it. But there's a certain vibe which, has been trending recently, specifically in like Girl Crush, which you see like charting well or doing well or getting groups popular. And that's, I guess, sort of interesting. But I wouldn't say that, idols are expected to do like a more niche genre or a more niche set of requirements than Western artists. It's just that those requirements are different. And because we sort of live in the West, we're more used to the Western set of requirements. So we're like, oh, look at how idol groups are often writing about like specific things. You're not allowed to talk about specific things. Like a lot of artists over here also aren't allowed to talk about certain things or expected to talk about a certain matter if they want to become big. And that's something which just happens, unfortunately. Things trend. Expectations are made to make songs trend or artists trend.
Yeah. So I guess
like,
that
yeah.
I I think it's just more of like because K-pop's literal pop music with rap in it, whereas the American counterpart that we're comparing is it's still actual rap. It's still the like traditional like what hip hop is, but they just popularize it by doing what they like try their best to make it like as listener friendly as possible without knowing all like the cool little like
to a larger
what did they without going into like these complex rhyme schemes where it's like you need to have the ear for it to pick it out, or going into like these like complex flows where it's like they like, well, let's do our genre but for a popular audience, and then K-pop is just, well, let's do pop music and then throw rap in it. So I guess that's
Yeah.
Also, because like I guess in K-hip-hop.
What were you gonna say, Brianna?
Well, I guess another thing to note too is that a lot of these K-pop idol rappers, they join their companies so early. They become trainees at like 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. So, I mean, I guess they really haven't had as much life experience as other rappers would, just because they're not allowed to do nearly as much. Like, they're not allowed to smoke, they're not allowed to drink, they're not allowed to date, drive. Those are some popular examples. I'm sure there's more, but I think that's also something to consider.
That's a great point.
So like their lyrics might come out differently because they have
I
less
guess
of an
they just
experience.
have had different experiences, and that's even if they're allowed to write their own material, because a lot of K-pop rappers, I feel like, they're really not allowed to write their own stuff. So I could be wrong, but
I think you could
more
probably
and more they do
I
write
think so.
Just like
recently
to a certain extent, or like or about a certain like content matter. I think also because they are usually fitting it into a pop song, so there's already like
a certain vibe going.
I guess pop genre or like concepts, like things you talk about in pop music, and so you wouldn't like suddenly have your average pop song and then you have like an emo rapper jump in. You're like, life is a struggle, a constant struggle. Like that'd be a bit weird. So I think there are like
imagine if Yoongi put his solo that from his first album. One of his like lyrics from the last into a BTS song.
Like that would
not probably go.
You wouldn't hear it on like the radio or anything.
I mean, they have to try to appeal to a mass audience.
So I also wanted to say,
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but I was gonna say though, like I think another difference is that like with K-hip-hop, like K-hip-hop itself isn't necessarily underground. Like I think that's another important thing to mention, is that like there is pop K-hip-hop inside of K-hip-hop. Like there are artists there who are catering to, like a general audience. So I think it's a bit, not like it's weird, but like there's some places where like the comparison between like American underground hip-hop and like Korean K-hip-hop like sort of breaks, because they still are trying to, or some artists are trying to make more like palatable mainstream music. They're just doing it like completely rap. So I think that's why like you have those artists who are sort of like pop rappers inside of K-hip-hop as well, who are trying like chart, who are trying to Zico their way on the boards or whatever.
is there any rappers you'd want to like deem as the pop K hip hop rappers?
I mean, like Zico is sort of one, but he's also is sort of like K-pop. But I think like people like Ash Island or well maybe Ash Island or like yeah I think like some of the like what do you call it like lyrical rappers do tend to make music which is a bit more like playable to a wider audience or people who aren't really into like rap, including like Korean rap. They would probably be more okay listening to like Downtown
Mm-hmm.
Baby on the radio. Like that charted very well because it was something which people who aren't necessarily into rap would enjoy, would listen to. And the artist Blue himself is sort of more like a, I guess, vibe or personality or sort of like presentation, which like people who aren't necessarily like into, hip hop would be interested in or drawn to and things like that. Um, I don't know. I think there's also like some of the presentation of like female rappers tends to be like marketing them to be a bit more like
Mm-hmm.
poppy at times. I was thinking of like the collab between I wrote wrote like a weird Reddit post about this, about how like uh what's her name Mirani for her collab with shoot what's the girl's name Wasabi
Yeah.
Queen Wasabi.
Wasabi, yeah, Queen Wasabi.
Yeah, Wasabi. Like they definitely made that to sort of be more like poppy and sort of similar, like almost similar to K-pop, I guess, where they had like those backup dancers who they were supposed to dance with, and there was like that girl crush concept almost, and they had that sort of more EDM track, which like for other than the fact that that was like more sellable, there wasn't any reason to make Mirani a EDM track. Like she doesn't do that type of music in the past. And I think a lot of times where you see female rappers these days, they do sort of market it like that, and I do think that is sort of like a, I mean, partly because in the West, people like Cardi B, I guess Doja Cat or things like that sort of
Mm-hmm.
do well with that image, but also because like K-pop, that also does well. So I think that's another like instance of like marketability over like the individual artist style. Like there wasn't anything about Mirani that was like, ah, oh, she should do a EDM beat. It was just like marketability, pop music. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Mm. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess we could also talk, or something I also wanted to talk about was, I guess, like authenticity in both genres. Um, which I think is an interesting thing because there's definitely like a debate of like, is K-pop authentic, which you hear a lot, but I think you also sometimes hear that, especially in the West, or if you play sort of, or if you talk about Korean hip hop to like Western hip hop fans, they're like, oh, like what's so authentic about that? Like why are like the Korean, what is the Korean rap scene, really talking about like how could they be authentic? Like they aren't living the experiences that like American rappers are. Like aren't they just trying to copy American rap and things like that? I think it's like an interesting thing that, both genres have that concern, but at the same time a lot of times there's that idea that like looking from K hip hop into K-pop, like, oh, they're less authentic than these artists or things like that. Um,
I guess it kind of gets into levels of authenticity. Like,
mhm.
I mean, because when you're saying like, oh, okay, hip hop's not authentic because it's not like the true, like where hip hop
Yeah,
came from, which was the
yeah.
1990s
I mean, I
America.
don't
It's like,
agree with that opinion necessarily, but
oh,
I do
I don't
hear
either.
that. Yeah.
But I guess it's just like because in that mindset, it's like you can only rap can. It's like a very conservative view of a music genre of like rap is
Hmm.
one way, it can only be one way, or hip hop's one way, it can only stay one way, and it's like that's the way it has to be like forever for it to be true hip hop. Because at the end of the day, like no matter how inspired a K hip hop rapper will be from like listening to maybe like rappers from the 90s like Tupac or even someone like Eminem or whoever it may be, like no matter how inspired a Korean hip hop who grew up in South Korea is, it's like they're never actually like in like where the true authentic hip hop comes from. So I guess it just gets to the point where it's like, does authentic really mean you have to literally be from that specific area?
Yeah.
But then in comparison to like, then you get into the next level of like, well, K-hip-hop looking at K-pop has a bit more like viability, at least to me, of, well, a majority of K-pop rappers, like we just mentioned, that, even though some do now, but for a long time they didn't write their own lyrics. So it's like, is that really authentic rap? Like, does dude writing your own lyrics make it rap, or is it just rapping makes it rap? Like, you know? So it's like, is that really authentic? And it comes down to that question of whether you think so or not.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's
I
interesting.
think even from
The question.
a fan's perspective too, it's like maybe some people might not see K hip hop as authentic because they're not, like Key mentioned before, like they're Asian or they're not from America and stuff like that. Like I was gonna ask you, Matt, like what did your friends think when they first started hearing K hip hop? Like, did they think it wasn't legit or what?
My friend, well, I didn't start showing them until like a few years into the channel, because like I mentioned, like, I was all K-pop before then. But when I started showing them, the main other person on my channel, who his name's Bryson, I'd have him react mostly to other stuff, especially in the later years. And so I started showing him K-hip-hop, and his initial reaction is like, this is the stuff that I like. Because like normally when he'd listen to K-pop, it's like he'd sit through it and he'd get like, it was okay. Because he doesn't listen to pop music, so it's not ever his style.
Yeah.
But then I show him K-hip-hop, and he's like, why haven't you shown me more of this? This is the stuff I like. I like this. Because he listens to like...
Okay.
When I first started doing the channel with him, he listened to artists like Logic and a guy named Whit Lowry. And as we continued the channel and he like developed his music taste, he was listening to people like XXXTentacion and Ski Mask and a bunch of like underground scene people. So yeah, and then I ended up just showing him like, hey, I'm gonna have you react to the 119 remix, and then you tell me who you like in there. And so he loved that because he for the most part, my friends were like, yeah, K-hip-hop, good. K-pop, not good. Coming from hip-hop listeners.
Yeah.
Can I ask, what was that reaction to
shoot.
the artists? I saw a few reactions when I glanced over from the camera when I said XXS Tentacion, or was it Ski Mask? Or...
I love X.
Oh.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah.
There you go.
I think I talked about this in the past. I love like XXX. I love like Joey Badass. I love Juice World. I don't know. I like a lot of those artists too. I think Nuna Bree listens more to American hip hop than I do, to be fair, or knows more about it at least. I only know like the.
I wouldn't say I know
younger
more.
artists,
I have different tastes. I mean, my top rappers that I really like these days are like Joyner Lucas, J. Cole, J.I.D., Busy Banks. He's a little bit less known, but he's one that I have been listening to a lot. So, I mean, I don't really know much about like people like Ski Mask, Juice World, that kind of stuff. So it's not that I know more. It's just we have different tastes, I guess.
It's like different.
I mean, you've been into American hip hop for longer.
I mean, I guess I've been alive longer than you. So.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I mean, yeah, there's that too. Yeah.
It's like different subgenres of rapping, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, like a couple years ago, we didn't have any singing rap in Korea, right? But we did in the West. So now, like, Korea's kind of picking up on that singing kind of rap.
Oh yeah, you definitely.
To be fair, America it was taking a while for it to like gain traction, really, too.
Yeah, I mean, I think Korea will always, I mean, not offensively, I'm not saying offensively, but they'll always be kind of behind on the trends. You know?
I mean, they're taking a direct, no matter what the genre is, and as much as I say, ugh, I don't like this group anymore because they're American influence, like, as much as I say that, it's like, at the end of the day, any music that's popular or hip-hop in Korea is like, it's taken at least a little influence from Like my friend, like I just mentioned, I was on the channel with you, Bryson. I played for him Mirani's Tic Tac from last past year, and I put it on. He's like,
Oh yeah.
"Wait, who is this?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's Mirani." He's like, "She sounds like she's trying to copy Playboy Cardi." That was his first reaction.
Really?
So it's like
I could see
it's like
that,
he was
yeah.
literally
Oh my
like,
god, yeah.
"She's a Playboy Cardi." Not to be offensive, but Playboy Cardi wannabe is what he said.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
I
definitely.
mean, I
an
think a lot
influence.
of artists starting off are like that.
Oh yeah,
And that's why it takes a bit, like, to, like, for it to
Develop
get
their
to create,
sound,
'cause,
right?
like, yeah.
I mean, yeah. You
Because,
listen.
like, I think
You listen.
usually in America, when, like, artists are picking up, it starts, like, at a smaller level when they're, like, certain underground artists influencing other underground artists, and then those artists become bigger because of traction gained around the
Yeah.
genre. But there isn't that, like, as big of an underground scene in Korea, so the influence, instead of being drawn from, like, their own community, often comes from, like, America, because that's where, like, the
Yeah.
core of hip-hop is,
Yeah.
I think.
You can
So it
definitely
takes
hear
a
it
while for it to get-
with like Mirani, like I said, like she has that Playboy Cardi sound in Tic Tac, or yeah, Tic Tac. But then all throughout Show Me the Money 9, and then even her recent releases, it's like that sound is gone. It's like she had that when she was like more of like the underground, like not really known, to like have her influence, like try to sound like people that she likes listening to. And then as she got her name out there, now that she's her own artist, that she's really well known, she has her own style.
Yeah.
I kind of the opposite. Like as I mentioned late one earlier, I've never heard that style before. Like I cannot think of anyone else who does a rap style or I guess delivery like Lay One does. I mean, if you guys have someone, I'd love to know because I'd love to listen to more of that. But it's like that, like very like
Yeah.
impact on like
Yeah.
yeah, like the heavy impact on like the spaces in the rap and like purposely pausing the rap. It's like I've never really heard anyone do that before him, and that's kind of what made me go like, oh, who is that? Like because I first saw him in the Show Me the Money 9. I forgot which part. It was the one where each team had their own cipher basically, and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
who's the guy wearing the trash bag? He sounds so good. I've never heard that thing before. And yeah. So I if you guys know someone, please let me know because I'd love to know them. But I don't think he's like influenced by. I don't know who he'd been influenced by because I can't think of anyone who sounds like
Yeah.
that.
I guess there's rare occurrences like that where it's like there's one artist that just completely is their own style and they haven't tried to be inspired by anyone else.
I mean that.
Or maybe they're like inspired originally, but then they like get something out of it. I think it was like BY too. Like when I heard BY, I was like, I've never
Yeah, I was
heard
like, I've
anything
never
like
heard
this in,
anything like that. Yeah.
West.
But now you got K-hip-hop rappers coming up that are like, not I don't want to say idolized, but like they're inspired by BY,
Yeah.
and now they kind of have BY's style coming up, and it's like, you see the chain reaction start.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one way like certain genres or certain countries can develop their own styles or like unique, like areas where they're doing something you wouldn't hear in a different country.
Oh, definitely.
Out of the couple of the years that you've known, you've been listening to K-hip-hop, Matt, like what's like one album that you've been like always going back to? Or one song, I guess, if it's not an album.
I guess Indigo Music's 1803. Oh, I forgot the song name.
Oh yeah, that song.
Yeah, 18.
Yeah, I know which one
The
you're
one
talking
about
about.
the date of when they released the album, I think, or the started Indigo or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I adore that song. That album overall is good too. But more recently, also
Yeah.
last year, Swervy's album,
Oh.
great.
Oh yeah,
Swerve.
it was good.
I never get people who like are really into Swervy.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why. A lot of people tell me maybe I would like Swervy. And I like keep on giving her a listen and I don't get it.
Me too.
Wow.
What about Jackie?
Like I listened
then?
to like Art, what was it? Art
Gang
something
Money.
Gang? Art.
Art Gang
Art
Money.
Gang.
Art come
Money,
from
yeah.
Art Gang
I
Money
was
where
gonna
the
say
money
Art
come
Ho
from.
Gang, and I was
Art
like,
Gang Money where the gang come from.
Yeah.
Art Gang Money. I listened to that song before it was popular too. I just want to be a hipster real quick. Because it came out literally the second I found out about Swervy. Because I the highlight like what was that called? Palo Alto, Huckleberry P, Swervy, and Yunbi was on that, or is it Sweetie?
Oh, it was like a Dingo freestyle episode, right?
Yeah, I think it was. I guess it was just called Highlight. It was just like a self-titled song. But that song, I found out, and I'm like, oh wait, who's the girl? She
Oh,
kind of went
the
off.
song.
Oh, it's Sorby. Let me look. Oh, she released a song yesterday. Arcing Line. And then she didn't release a music video for it until like 3 months later. And then I'm like, and then it blew up.
And then it got big.
And I was like, ha! I knew her before everyone else. I'm a hipster.
Yeah.
How can you try to say you're a hipster that have a K-pop channel? Not to say that like hipsters can't like K-pop or liking K-pop.
I mean, there's ways to like K-pop and be a hipster. You can like go and like you're not a real K-pop fan unless you listen to groups like Mont and literally just name a bunch of groups that get under 100,000 views per video or something. It's like I only listen to the underground K-pop.
Okay, I guess that's true. Oh my god, underground K-pop. Ugh. Oh boy.
On that Indigo song you were talking about, Jackie's flow is like so good.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's one of the.
It's like the only song she doesn't use auto-tune in.
Oh, I found a bunch. Like, I mean, I guess recently she's been doing a bunch of stuff without autotune. And not really recently because she only dropped like 3 things last year. But
Recently? Yeah.
like she did a feature on Soyoon's album. I think it's her name. Like
Oh yeah, yeah,
an
yeah,
indie
yeah.
type singer. Indie.
Yeah,
type
I
thing.
know her.
Uh,
I know which one you're talking about.
Fantasy.
What's the Fantasy?
She goes all like she even sings without autotune too, and I'm like, Jackie, what? Like that impressed me. I was like, holy crap! Like she is using her voice without autotune. This is like heaven. I've never heard this before.
Yeah. She's like, I don't worry, Soyoon, I got you.
Yeah. And she also went off and rapped super fast at that, so I also like that.
I'm ready when y'all are.
I like Jackie, but I listen to most of her like more generic or like her classic Jackie
Anarchy.
stuff, Jackie Y stuff.
Anarchy.
Enchanted Propaganda.
That's a
Her
great
first
one too.
Oh,
two
Enchanted
albums were like
Propaganda.
completely different than
Yeah.
that last
I
album.
could
she did.
not get into Enchanted Propaganda
Once
like
I was
at
shopping in
all.
Trader Joe's.
I tried.
I got into that
Really?
one before Anarchy.
I played Enchanted Propaganda the first time I heard it, or like the second time, I guess. I heard it once when someone tried to get me into Jackie Y. I was like, no. Then I heard it again, and I was like shopping in like Trader Joe. It was Trader Joe's in New Jersey for whatever reason. I was there, and like the whole like 30 minutes I was shopping, I kept on repeating that song, and I was like going down the aisle like this, and everyone was staring at me. It was like Enchanted.
Wow.
I was like tossing things into the cart like, yeah. Oh, this is such a vibe.
She also recorded it at the Korean War Memorial Museum area. I forgot what it's called.
Oh, like the DMZ or something?
No. Like there's a museum in the middle of Seoul. I
No.
went to it when I was in Seoul in 2019, and I went to it, didn't realize that she had recorded it there, and then figured because what they did was they cut the background of the rest of the museum. So when she's in a tank or in the thing, it just shows like the tank. But those are just rundown tanks. They're just sitting there in a museum that you can go kind of like climb on and like, hey guys, I'm in a tank type of thing. And she recorded it there, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I know where she recorded it. I've been there.
Right. So they're like public things that anyone could climb in, and she just climbed in it and recorded
They
it.
reclined it. I'm pretty sure she brought like herself on a sunny day with like one cameraman, and they just recorded her like, okay, go there and go there. And then she just got this like amazing badass editor that was able to like cut out the background and make it look like the tank was.
It's
moving. It was
Swervy's
so cool.
boyfriend.
Oh yeah.
That was
Isn't it ex
Yeah, yeah.
ex-boyfriend, right?
Oh, I
Because
don't know
didn't
if
they have like a
Swervy and
huge
him are still
falling
together,
out,
but-
and then Jackie and Swervy
Yeah.
like hated each other, and now they don't talk, and now I'm sad because they will never get a collab.
No.
Yeah, that used to be like a whole like group. I've seen like photos. It's like it was like Swervy, Jackie Y, Bryn too.
Oh,
Like they
yeah.
all used to be a thing. And then I think like Swervy's ex or actual the Sui Films or whoever,
Sweet films, yeah.
the guy who did
'Cause-
Enchanted
'cause-
Propaganda.
Yeah, I remember it was like a year and a half ago maybe. Jackie's music video for Anarchy got taken off of YouTube because it uploaded to Sweet Films, and it was like, oh, everyone's like, why is it gone, Jackie? Why is it gone? She's like, don't worry, I just re-uploaded my own channel. We had like a falling out, everything. So I guess she's kind of done with that. But
Oh,
drama. This is like old drama though.
Sam.
Yeah,
Yeah. I've never heard of this, but I guess that's that.
To a regular segment. Also, this is my little cat. I just got him today.
Let's see.
I was gonna say, like talking about the differences, obvious differences between K-pop and K-hip-hop, is that a lot of K-hip-hop labels operate more like a crew or a
Yeah.
family. Like talking about like Higher Music, VMC, Just Music, while most K-pop companies like they don't. It's just kind of like an idol group or a group. It's not like one label kind of
I,
acting as like a family.
I guess that spawns just from the fact that the CEO of like Indigo, because that's what I know. The CEO of Indigo swings. The CEO or former CEO, I guess, of Highlight, Palo Alto. It's like
Yeah.
the rappers make their own labels, so it's like the people that they recruit
Yeah.
are like their children essentially, and then the K-pop labels of like SM, JYP, even the small ones, like AT's a small label, KQ Entertainment. It's like yeah, sure, it's like a small like family like thing. I guess if they have like a new group debut, it would be like their sister or brother group. But it's like the CEO doesn't, at the end of the day, care about them and their success. They care about getting money
Yeah.
from their success. You
Yeah.
know, where at the end of the day, I feel
Yeah.
like someone like Palo Alto in Highlight genuinely cares for the artists that he signs
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
while wanting to make
Yeah,
money
yeah.
too. But like he has a care for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he doesn't see them as dollar
Yeah,
signs.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
I noticed that for K-pop companies, they just some of them don't promote, like the one when
Yeah.
Got7 before Got7 left JYP, they didn't promote the last album.
Mm,
The fans promoted it.
Why we have multiple GOT7 members in under J Park now, in Higher Music and in AOMG.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like
Yeah, yeah,
favoritism based on like who
yeah.
could bring in the most money
I
as a
think
company.
I
favoritism.
Yeah. I mean, also because they're larger companies, so it's not like just the CEO
Yeah,
making decisions. I mean, not that it's just the
yeah,
CEO
yeah,
making
yeah.
decisions in like K-hip-hop companies either, but it's like there's whole like
Yeah.
boards of people and like
there's
yeah,
a
and
whole
shareholders
investors
and
and stuff.
bureaucracy
and
to
like
it.
all of these. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then it's I also think a little part of it is the K hip hop labels, like the job of the label, like the whole partnership between them is like, from the way I see it, I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I know nothing about this stuff. But it's like the rappers sign on to the label so that the label can get their name bigger by using like other, like they work together to make them bigger, and then if the artist blows up, the label will get bigger. But someone
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a
Yeah, yeah,
K-pop
yeah.
company,
Yeah.
a K-pop company would be like, they're not there to like, okay, Got7 make JYP bigger. They're not bringing Got7's as trainees on to like. I feel like it's a different concept. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like not like a partnership. It's like a hey, you're our subjects, and you will do
Yeah.
our bidding while you're under contract. And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
the
yeah,
K
yeah.
hip hop, it's like,
Yeah.
hey, we're a
'Cause,
family.
like,
Yeah, I guess because
JYP's already
yeah,
like
K-hip-hop,
massive, right?
the artists already are artists.
Yeah, like those companies, those idol companies are already like massive. They don't need to be more massive.
Yeah.
It's like for K-hip hop artists, it's like they're mutually getting each other more popularity.
Also, when companies want to become quote unquote more massive, it's not that they would sign specific artists, but they, at least when if we're talking about the big three slash four, including Big Hit, they would be making deals with other labels because there isn't really like a specific artist which they're like, we want you to join us. You have just as much to offer us as we have to offer you. Whereas with labels, I guess there's more equal beneficial offerings. I guess it's all about like how much one person can offer the label versus how much the label can offer one person. Whereas or in K-pop, the company is offering a lot more to the potential artist. So
so therefore they're like at the higher power. Whereas with K-hip-hop labels, because the artists have more to like leverage, they can make like not just fair deals, but like the company has more to like invest, or they're more invested in getting that artist to sign for them. Especially because they're usually bringing in artists who like already have established sound and like a history of making music. So it's not like we're gonna make you an artist. It's like we like what you're doing as an artist.
Yeah, join our team.
Join
Plus,
us.
you also get all. You also get
Join us.
all of these.
We want you.
Oh yeah, definitely. You also get all these like really cool collabs from K-hip-hop labels that you don't get from K-pop labels. I mean, like I guess there's been one which Cube did, which they got all the Cube artists and groups together. But outside of that, it's like, does JYP ever get like literally their groups to like collab on a song? I guess SM's done it a few times, but it's like. Is Super M the same thing as like IM, JM, WDP? I know it's 3 labels working together, but still, it's like literally every song from, I guess I keep using Indigo because that's the one I know the best. But like 2018 Indigo, it's like every song.
Yeah.
Every song was like
King.
Young B, Noel, Justice, or Kid Millie, Jackie, Swings, and then another collab with like 4 of them of like maybe they have Geary Boy on it and they do something. Like every collab, like they're just all the time, constant collabs, helping each other. And then K-pop companies are more like you have like the few like Super M, let's bring a few idols together from other groups. Oh, Cube collab, but it's like not a constant like pulling each artist together. It's to try to make the best thing ever.
I think part of that is that there's less of like a forum of sharing ideas inside of like a K-pop company. And you know, in K-hip-hop, like artists are supposed to be constantly exchanging ideas, sort of changing up their style, changing up their vision. Whereas, I guess in a K-pop label or in a K-pop group, you sort of have like a plan or I guess, concept. You have these concepts that you're supposed to stick to. Or there's like a lane, a specialty which your group is supposed to have. Which I guess means it'd be less beneficial in certain ways. Or less necessary for these artists to be exchanging ideas and sort of working and collaborating. Yeah.
But I mean, you also have like so many artists in one group, and they're already like there's a line shortage, and there's always like this person doesn't get enough lines, this person whatever, and I feel like how are you gonna get like multiple groups of that size to collab? Then it would have to be like individual members of the group, and then that becomes
This is a little different, but I mean, the one thing I don't know why what you just said sparked this idea in my head, and it kind of doesn't have anything to do with it, but K-pop companies don't intermingle much because it's like a dream of mine to have like this like kind of cypher collab, like you know how like BTS used to do all the cyphers back when they were actually doing rap stuff, like they would have like the cyphers with just the rappers, but then they also had like Supreme Boy, which was under Big Hit at the time, and it's like I want like JYP to be like Changbin and Jisung, you guys are like our best rappers. You go collab with August D and RM from BTS, and then you know grab in like maybe Juhan from Monsta X and like Bobby from YG. Like just grab like 6 rappers from various companies, different various groups. Not just do a collab stage, which I think they've done before, but like an actual like album, like the Indigo album, where they had a bunch of different solo artists on there. But for like K-pop rappers, and I don't think they would ever do that. It's just a dream of mine that I really want to happen. But that a big difference is I don't think K-pop would ever do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it's just like the financial side, you know, like since it's split up into each company, and then inside of the company, it's like the managers, the artists, and when you like are paying companies instead, if you have like artists from one company and then you're like splitting half of it to the company and half of it to the artist, then it's like I guess there's more money you split around. But if you're like, okay, so we're splitting this much to this company, this much to this company, this much to this company, and then out of that we're splitting like this much to each artist and things like that, I guess part of that would be harder to manage. I guess it's probably like less financially beneficial to
I
like,
do know
the
there was
companies.
it's not
And
rap,
like
but you know K-pop. I'm sure you guys know it. K-pop did a collab where it was like Soyeon from Cube, Solgi from SM, Sinbi from G Friend, I forgot what their company's called, and Chungha from CJENM, I guess. I'm not sure what company she's
Yeah,
under.
yeah.
But so they had all 4 of those girls. Like they weren't
yeah,
rappers
yeah.
except Soyeon, but like they all came together, made a hit,
Yeah.
like a banging song. I loved it, and it was just like I wish it was like a full album, but it's like they came together, made a song, 4 different girls for 4 different groups. Like why can't I get an Augusty, Changbin, Juhan, Bobby song? Like what's wrong with that? Like just rappers are mistreated. Not actually, but
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That'd be cool from artistic perspective.
that's the only way I think about it. Artistic perspective. Who cares about money?
I feel like
good
the
shit.
energy on that song would be like through the roof also.
Exactly.
With
though.
all
That's
those
like,
rappers.
Yeah.
that's my vibe. I would love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of get the
I also want to see more like K-hip-hop and K-pop collabs though. Like we have a lot from like Changmo
SM in general does a lot.
and like soloists.
SM's done like Bacon, Loco.
Yeah.
Where they brought
And a
Loco
lot of
in.
collabs.
SM did a recent one with Bacon and Changmo on the T1 Runner song, I think it's called.
Yeah. T1, T1
Mm-hmm.
runner song.
And I'm trying to think of others, but yeah, I
Didn't they
think
also get
SM's
Kid
explored it
Millie
quite a bit.
too? Was it Kid Millie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
with Taemin. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Taemin. And then there was one with Shiny's done other
There was
ones.
one with Loopy.
He had Vixen. Oh yeah, that was Soyeon, the other girl, and
Hyoyeon, Soyeon, and Loopy.
recently
Yep.
with
Yeah,
Dessert.
yeah.
I did not like
Yeah,
that song.
yeah,
Unpopular
yeah.
opinion.
That was the first time I actually saw. Oh yeah, I liked it at first, except I didn't like Loopy, and then I liked Loopy, so I was like, I bet I'm gonna like that song, and I heard it again, and I was like, wait, actually I don't like it.
I am not a big fan of Loopy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't if you ever talk to him, don't tell him I said that.
What?
I am not a huge Loopy fan.
I have a hit list of people who say they don't like Loopy.
Really?
Oh,
I take it personally. Okay, only one person on it yet. Not you.
So I make number 2.
Yeah, not you.
It's not.
Well,
It's not
yeah,
like I have a
if you
hatred
want
for
to, you
Loopy.
could
I've
opt
just
in or
never
opt
really.
out. I always give them the option.
I've never gotten the. He's never pulled me in.
Someone came onto my stream or my stream server to tell me that my taste in Loopy or me liking Loopy was wrong, and I was like, I'll find your address one of these days. You're like, do it. So now that's why I have my list. But you know.
Matt is just like sweating profusely. He's like, that was me.
How'd you know?
No. Oh my god. I feel like. Wait. I really. Oh god. Well, I'll know once I get that address, and if it's yours, then we'll know. Once I show. Oh wait, why am I always threatening people on this podcast? First Tamichi, then Matt. I swear it's a joke. I'm not gonna run anyone through with a katana. I promise. It's all.
I will say,
comedy
Tamichi
effect.
probably deserved it,
Promise, please.
so it's okay.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely. I don't remember what he did, but he brought up Glock Talk. That's all I remember from that episode. Yeah.
So, I think
Like just brought up Glocks. Not like anything specific. It was just that. Like it came up in a conversation. That wasn't like a reference to anything. Anyway, moving on.
yeah, I was gonna say
Enough
to
about
build off what
Tamichi.
you said about idols and idol rappers and K-hip-hop rappers. In the past, we've seen them have like beef with one another and kind of like not have a very good relationship. So like there's K-hip-hop rappers claiming that like idol rappers don't make authentic hip-hop, and you know that they're manufactured or they're phonies compared to K-hip-hop artists' raw upbringing, I guess you could say.
Is that a modern thing? I can't think of any like modern instances of like a K-hip-hop rapper being like, "Yo, these K-pop rappers aren't real." Like of course, you know, like the B or the Be Free
Be Free and
BTS genre.
BTS, yeah.
The most like the most famous one, of
Yeah.
course. And I'm sure there
Yeah.
were other ones back then. But I mean, looking at like K-pop rapping, like other than Zico, it's like what rappers in 2012, 2011 K-pop were really doing like what K-pop rappers are doing now. It's like Zico was really the only one I could think of that was rapping in K-pop songs in 2012. So it's like I could see where the K-hip-hop rappers were coming from when like Be Free, for example, picked totally the wrong group to diss, but um, that's besides the point. It's like nowadays, it's like I've never really heard any K-hip-hop rappers calling out idols, at least recently.
I think it's not. It's not. I guess it's not really like on songs, getting called out on songs. But I guess as an example could be like "Show Me the Money," where it's like, oh, why are idols going onto this show, right? Like they don't need it, basically,
Yeah.
kind of saying.
Though I think there is part of it comes from like fan perception, I think, or I think part of it is sort of like an exaggeration to a certain extent. Um, yeah, like I mean, I think like one thing which we saw on like Show Me the Money was when they Show Me the Money 9 at least was when some rappers were like, oh, the only idol rapper I know is uh G Dragon. But at the same time, most K-hip hop rappers seem to, in fact, know idol rappers. It's just like they don't really
They don't
listen to them. I don't
acknowledge
think
them.
there's much of a disrespect
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
yeah. But like that sort of makes sense. Like if you're not really working with them or stuff, it's not like you disrespect them or you don't believe, they're on par with you. It's just like you don't really have an opportunity to work with them. Like why would you be like, oh yes, I know everything about all of
Yeah.
Stray Kids rappers. Yes, I researched for this. Changbin, I have my flashcards.
I'm sure there are actual like underground rappers in Korea right now that like listen to like their normal like American hip hop, Korean hip hop to like inspired, and then they secretly sit back and like I'm gonna listen to some Stray Kids today. Let's put this on, and like oh I love this idol. Like I'm sure there's a few rappers in there that listen to idol music and
Yeah.
respect it too.
Yeah. No, I mean even like Changmo or like Blue was a fan of Blackpink. Changmo like Red Velvet or something, I think. I think there are definitely like instances where you have like rappers who are into K-pop music.
Okay, but here's the thing. Here's
I mean,
another
I
thing
can
to
think
think
of
of.
like
I mean, basically in these days, if a K-hip hop rapper were to come for an idol rapper, there's like legions and legions of fans that will just, descend on this rapper and just basically, cancel him. So
I mean, yeah,
another thing to
Yeah.
consider.
20 what was it 14 or 13 when Be Free like went at BTS. It's like
Yeah, and the
that
fans
was
are still
7
mad about it today.
they're just not only are they so mad about it, but it was like
Yeah.
7 years ago, and like Be Free got like every one of his music videos. The like to dislike ratio is horrendous. It's so bad. So that was like 7 years prior to the amount of fans BTS, for example, has now, and the rest of K-pop. So it's like what Be Free got, a normal rapper would get, but then it would be like 30 times worse.
I think it's sort of important to mention though that Be Free wasn't just coming after BTS from like a musical standpoint. He was making some I guess problematic. He was insinuating some problematic stuff. I guess about like idols and wearing makeup and men wearing makeup and sort of I guess how different genders present and things like that, which would have upset like a wider audience than if he just sort of been like, oh, why are you guys just dancing and focusing on all that kind of aesthetic stuff instead of just hip hop and rap. I feel like that's detracting from you as like a hip hop artist. I mean that's his opinion and people might dislike him for it, but I don't think it would have gotten as much backlash as like the specific things he said, especially since in Asia, especially East Asia, it's like more common for men to wear makeup and things like that. So it was like pretty uncalled for. Like I don't know, like it was just something which he shouldn't have said. Didn't really matter and would pretty clearly upset a wide audience. So I think that is part of why it's like gotten his name as like one of the biggest K-pop versus K-hip hop feuds or things like that. But I don't think either of them are probably like salty over it now at this point, you know? Like I think most of it is like fandom led. But I guess that makes sense with most views. I think after a while, like individual people stop caring. But like a larger public would still be able to like see the videos or like see what happened and learn about it in the moment and then be upset. So I think that's like something which just happens on the internet and on fandoms and things like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. But I mean, also, I think one, like, he wasn't just saying like, oh, I don't like idol rappers. He was like being pretty offensive. I don't know. He had like I don't remember it exactly, but I remember being like, that's not just like being like they're not artists. He was just like coming for them for no reason. But also I think like, I mean, I guess they would like get a lot of dislikes and stuff, but I don't think most of the people who would be upset over, you know, like a K-hip-hop artist saying like a K-pop idol isn't as good as a rapper is someone who'd necessarily be contributing to like sales or views in the first
Yeah, they
place,
would use
you
it to
know?
get their name out there, like to get bigger. It's like any type of publicity is good publicity type of
Yeah.
mindset.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think now like K hip hop rappers much more focused to do
I
that,
mean-
get to attack each other rather than that. Because I've seen so many diss tracks like in the
Yeah.
past year of two rappers going at it in K hip hop.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Cow Guy Guanjojo or whatever.
Mhm.
Owen and
Oh, and then
Byung-won.
but
yeah.
Noel and
Yeah, Owen and
Shark.
Yeah.
Raka.
Which Poems 3 is coming out, and I'm absolutely certain now that the comeback for what's his name? Shoot, I'll listen to this guy. Lil Boom Bop Boy.
Who?
The guy who dissed Owen.
Oh,
Byung-won.
on
The guy who
Byung-won.
dissed
An
Owen.
Byung-won.
Byung-won.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I listened to him. I just forgot his name. Byung-won's. He's gonna add the. I'm pretty sure, or almost certain
Oh,
that
the
he's
diss
gonna do
track?
the like comeback diss for Byung-won on Poems 3. Like that makes so much sense, you know, because Byung-won had it on his album,
Yeah.
and we saw that he recorded it. He has a new album coming out. So more diss stuff to cover.
I mean, you could just look at just like the Guangyo
That's
Joe
that.
diss stuff that happened. It's like it started off with just the two of them, and then you bring in like I mean, at one point it got between Tommy dissing Outsider.
all their
like,
friends came in.
Somehow that transforms into Tommy dissing Outsider, and then Outsider going back. It's like how did that? Just because you dissed Guangyo Joe rapping fast, and then Outsider's like, oh, I need to respond because he dissed fast rapping, and then Tommy's like, oh, you mistreated me, so I gotta respond to you. So he just like exploded. So, and Tommy isn't releasing anything either,
I mean, part of that, I guess.
which is
Yeah.
weird. But
It seems more like an attention. Well, not an attention grab per se, but like
yeah.
people know they could get their name out by doing that. I mean, that's a valid strategy. Like people, American artists,
Yeah,
and things
like-
that do
like
that
we were
too all the
saying.
time, where it's like, here's a
Yeah,
hot
like
topic. I
we
can
were
get
just
on.
saying, like
a trend.
Korea music is always like 5 or 10 years behind American music. 5 years ago, 2016, YouTube diss tracks were like the big thing. It's everyone like that's how you get big. Rice Gum dissing you, or like the Sidemen group from Great Britain just like going back at each other. Like, it's all fake, but it blew them up even more. And so it's like, you know, Korea's 5 years behind the music, so they're like, you know, this 2021's the diss track year. We're just gonna write diss tracks on each other.
You guys remember the control diss phenomenon of 2014?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was looking at that recently, just to remind myself.
So I don't forget. Never forget.
Yeah, because it's showing me the money.
Yeah, never forget. It's just crazy how like
Yeah.
like
So I guess
some
there
people.
was a diss situation back then, right?
Yeah, I just don't
Yeah,
think it
there
was
was
a
a diss situation
common-
back then.
Sorry, go Hente.
Oh, like
Yeah.
I feel like that
What were you saying, Hente?
that diss track was like that diss track era was different, where it was just like
That was actual.
they didn't bother posting it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like actual like
Like,
beef.
right now,
It
it's
wasn't
just
made
like,
up or just
we-
like some
I-
petty comments.
Yeah, like right now it's just like I might not like you,
Yeah.
but you know we can benefit off of not liking each other and have this like you know unspoken, non-public agreement. Like, yo, I'm gonna diss you. It's gonna get a bunch of views. You diss me back. It'll get more views, and we'll make this. We'll both get big from this. But back then, it's
Yeah.
just more like I genuinely hate you, so I'm gonna diss you.
Yeah, like you were saying, I feel like the more fabricated one was when like old T tried to diss Uneducated Kid, and then like
Iconic.
that was kind of fat, and then they ended up making a video together
Yeah.
with the quiet being in the middle, and then he was just like really
Ho
awkward.
Yeah.
bitch salty.
Yeah. So like I
Yeah.
feel like now it's just like I'm gonna call you out over Instagram or like oh I'm gonna like talk shit about you on my Instagram story. But back then it was just like nah I hate you so I'm gonna tell it to your face, right? Like how Swings said that like Simon Dominic you like fucked over Easons, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. And those relationships that were broken from the control disc only were repaired just now. We see that from like Simon Dominic
Recently.
making a song with Swings on Show Me the Money,
Yeah.
right? It's like their relationship just got better now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So speaking of like modern, this is sort of off topic from a general thing, but modern I guess beef. You really see the difference I guess with like the. Did you hear about the mommy son and then there was like the younger rappers and like the graffiti posted on Instagram.
I faintly remember that, but I don't know the
So
details.
some shoot, it was pretty recent. It was like a week ago. I don't really know the younger rappers though, but it was like a crew of younger rappers, who like called Mommy Son out because he was talking about like managing people well or like how good his company is or something like that. And they're like, oh, like you're just doing the same thing as other, companies, and you offered one of our friends like a really horrible, like contract where your company would get most of the money. Like, how dare you pretend you're above that? Like you're just trying to capitalize off of young rappers' dreams as well. And then they like spray painted something about Mommy Son on a wall, and then they like videoed it or something. He sort of called out like Swings or
Who?
Jam and stuff like that a bit.
Oh,
In my
No
new
Chong.
Instagram
Yeah, he
account.
kind
Was
of.
it my new Instagram?
Yeah,
The one
yeah,
you're
yeah.
writing about.
I mean,
Yeah,
he
No
kind of
Chong.
called them out, but it was more of like because I
Yeah.
read an interview that he had done like after the album released, and he had said, "Yeah, I may have said these things, but overall, I still love them. It's just kind of like, I needed to voice my
Delightful,
own,
yeah.
I needed to voice these things just to get it out. But I mean, he still has love for his company and for his members, so
Yeah.
It's just friends being angry at friends,
yeah.
really. Yeah.
And then fitting a rap, yeah.
Yeah, and then added into their whole album.
Then immortalized
Yeah.
in song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun to listen to though, so whatever.
So
Yeah.
we also have like groups and artists that we kind of feel like have brought K-pop fans over to K-hip-hop. You could say like people like Zico, Gray even, J Park definitely, Epic High,
J Park.
because they're kind of like they're not underground like
Yeah.
they're kind of like in the middle per se.
For KR.
Yeah, I'm glad you actually mentioned that. 'Cause I've never actually talked about that before, but in my head there's always been like a clear like this is K-hip-hop, this is K-pop, and then there are like not quite a few, but like a select few artists that are in the middle that's kind of like a transition between the two that do both.
Yeah.
Like Jesse, Flowsick, like all these rappers, it's like a lot of people know them, but you're not going to call them K-pop. But also, some of them, it's hard to just call them straight up K-hip-hop. Like Jessie, I don't know if I would
Yeah.
call her K-hip-hop,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
at the end of the day,
yeah.
she still raps. But is she a K-pop soloist? She's in that weird wishy-washy place.
I mean, I would swear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just like it's an idea that I've like had. I've just never mentioned it before so I never knew if anyone thought the same. But they Own Freestyle from like 2017 or 16 or something with like Sick K, Punchnello, Flowsick, all of them. It's like
Yeah.
that got a lot of K-pop fans into K-hip-hop. I'm pretty sure too. None of them are like the transition rappers, I don't think. But well, maybe.
I mean, DPR Live was on it, I think.
Yeah,
I
he
would
is.
call
Yeah,
him
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of a transitioner, maybe.
Oh yeah. DPR.
Transition
Yeah.
transition artists, that's what we're gonna call them.
I mean,
from
I
now
think
on.
Yeah.
part of those artists are like, yeah, middle ground. I don't know. I mean, part of those artists, I think, is that like a lot of times like not only are they transition artists, but sometimes they're just artists, which I guess would count as like K-hip-hop or K-R&B, who a lot of K-pop like fans listen to without really
Yeah.
knowing what they're listening to or like what genre it counts as. Because I see a lot of people being like, I bet this is a K-pop soloist you have never heard of.
Or
VCR
Dean.
Live.
Dean is a
Or like
Dean
Yeah,
is a
Dean,
classic
definitely.
example of that.
yeah, Dean. I hear that.
I
That
feel
Dean's
like he
another
was-
one. Or
Yeah.
Hayes too. I think because of her.
Because even some of those artists, like Hayes, collaborate with hip hop artists, right? Like we had the Geary Boy and Hayes collab, right?
But then
So it's like sometimes they transition.
I mean, Hayes is sort of KR, or like she
Hayes-
definitely would be KR&B. Like I
yeah.
don't think she's.
Well, she did start off
necessarily,
rapping.
like-
I miss her rapping. Like the first few releases she did, she rapped. In them.
Yeah.
But it's like I miss like not okay. No, that's the wrong way to say this. I feel like recently, Hayes has kind of went down the road of a K-pop soloist. Like she definitely wasn't
Yeah.
when she debuted and did that collab with Dean and everything. Like she was like a mix between a rapper and KR&B singer. But the more that she releases stuff and the more collab she does, I feel like she's more straight, just like Ailey type, not Ailey. I don't know. Like that's female soloist K-pop, but it's not like in a popular company type of person. Yeah,
Yeah, just like a pop artist, I guess.
but not from like a group. It's like a general solo artist.
I mean, like, yeah, like BB is
BB?
like she makes pop music mainly. But
Oh,
she's
I
not,
always
like,
consider her
necessarily-
KR&B.
Yeah, BB
Yeah.
makes pop music. I mean, she makes pop and she makes like. I mean, she makes like R&B, but she also a lot of her music is like
Yeah.
pretty poppy, I would say. I mean, I think she's another one of like I wouldn't say she's like those like
She,
artists which get people. Or I guess maybe she is an
yeah,
artist. which
especially
gets people
I
into it.
don't know. I'd never heard of her until literally last year. She kind of just like came onto the scene, unless I'm blind, and she's been here forever, very popular. But I just found out about her. But she like for me came onto the scene last year. It's like seemed like she just blew up out of nowhere for me, and I was just like, damn, okay. And I feel like a lot of K-pop fans that I know, BB is one of the ones that they point out to, like, oh, that rapper, like, because, I mean, she doesn't really rap, but it's like she has kind of rapper vibes. I mean, like, she was in the Code Clear song, so. Speaking of which, I don't know why Code Clear had a bunch of
Yeah,
K R&B
she wrote
artists
there, I think.
on it, too. That was kind of weird to me, but that's really off topic.
I don't know, I guess it was supposed to be. I mean, K
Oh,
R&B
yeah.
and K hip hop is pretty linked together. I think, like scene wise,
Collab
a lot
together.
of most of the artists like intermingle compared to like K hip hop versus like K-pop.
Yeah,
It's more of like one continuous scene. A lot of times, since like the producers are the same,
Yeah, you
some
can,
of the artists do.
Well, I
both
mean,
and
they're
things
all
like
in the
that.
same labels too.
I mean,
You can
hip
look
hop
at
and
just-
R&B are often, yeah. I mean, hip hop and R&B are often pretty connected.
yeah, you can just look at, like, I forgot what year this came out. Was it
To a certain
2019?
extent.
Moon dropped an album, and she had like a bunch of K rap or K hip hop features, or the Coogie's recent album, from last year. I'm pretty sure, or is it 2 years ago? He had like Moon and like a bunch of other K R&B singers. It's like they have like whenever the Korean rapper needs a vocalist, they go to the K R&B vocalists, which is
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's
Yep.
that's it. That's all.
I think we covered it all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, is there any sort of final wrap up or anything?
Final wrap up, just listen to English music.
Final big
Don't worry
takeaway?
about Korean music at all.
Yeah. Should write that and then just go listen to it.
Stan Ariana Grande, Stan Lil Pump. Thank you. From now on, we are going to become one A hip hop
Hip-hop.
podcast.
We're changing our name to
we're a bit
World
late for
Star.
us.
Oh, there you
Yeah.
go. Is there a world star of K hip hop? My voice just
I
cracked,
don't
but
know.
We should make one.
yeah, that seems like
Let's make one.
like yeah,
World Star K-Hip-Hop.
that seems like an easy
World
like okay, not easy, but hey, that doesn't exist. Let's make it type of thing.
The world star of K-hip-hop is kind of like Hip Hop Playa, isn't it? They kind of cover the news and
I
stuff.
don't know. But they cover American hip hop too.
Yeah.
So, this is the end of the episode. If you have any feedback, questions, or topics you want us to cover, please DM us or comment on our post at 82K Hip Hop Podcast on Instagram or choose K Hip Hop on Twitter or Instagram. We'll read it out next episode and discuss your topic. We're still looking for an audio editor, and possibly a video editor. But other than that, it's been great. If you've listened all the way up till here, we'd love to hear your feedback. We're very grateful that you're listening to us. And see you next episode.
Thank you, Matt, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It was awesome. It was really fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.